Hello, this is sexuaI with Black Education TV, coming again to you with another topic for the Tough Love series. And this time we're going to be talking about entering into marriage for the daughters of Zion. Marriage is something that you don't enter into lightly, okay? This is something that I believe should be directly under the direction of the Most High Yah. And you should never be governed by your flesh when entering into marriage. There's a lot of reasons why. Marriage is a covenant, first of all. And when you make a covenant, the Most High takes that very seriously. As we've seen examples throughout Scripture where the breaking of a covenant to the Most High is serious business. So when you enter into marriage, you must consider that. And the reason I'm covering this topic is because, as I've stated many times before, I get questions from a lot of sisters, and many times those questions are more like venting because they have entered into a marriage that it had become obvious to them that it wasn't of the Most High. To the woman who sent me a question the other day, again, I won't be sharing names, but I will be very vague with the examples shared. Although many of them overlap, there are a lot of sisters who are going through the exact same thing. But in this particular case, you submitted your question and testimony as it relates to the marriage you entered into. You said that there were signs beforehand that you shouldn't marry this person. As a matter of fact, before the marriage, there was a split because of some very, very deep things that were happening in the relationship prior to marriage, you see. And there were issues with the in-laws, and you know, I'm going to cover that particular thing in another video because it deals with something on a spiritual level. I'm going to kind of break away from that part so that the whole story is not apparent here, but you will know based on what I'm talking about now as it relates to entering into a marriage where you saw very clear signs that this is an answer to your particular situation. I would say to anyone, whether you're a man or a woman, that if you see signs that are very clear, and I'm not talking about vague signs like, I wonder what that was all about. We're talking very clear, because this is what was stated in your message, that you saw very clear signs. There was even a split beforehand, but against your better judgment, because others were pushing you, you decided to go ahead and get married anyway. One thing I'll say, when you are about to make a life-changing decision such as marriage, where possibly children will be born into this world and, you know, all of this, you don't want others pushing you. You see, you want to be led by the Most High, because sometimes people will push you because it's something that they may desire, or if it's a family member, they may say, in many cases, you'll have a mom who will say, well, I never got married, so I don't want you to go through that, you see. And so going to get that man, a piece of man is better than none at all. Don't listen to that kind of foolishness, because again, whom Yah have joined together, let no man put asunder. Notice the key word is whom Yah have, the key phrase is whom Yah have joined together. You see, you don't want to be joined together because someone else thinks it's a good idea, especially if you haven't shared with them the things that you go through when you're around this person. Because trust me, at night when you're around this person, when you are spending quiet time or alone time with this person, they are not there to hear the things that comes out of this person's mouth. They are not there to witness the snapping and the biting off at you that this person may do, or the belittling of you. They are not there to witness those things, so they should not be a voice in the decision to whether or not you should marry this person. And I know many sisters, they get in this mindset where, well, I'm lonely and I'm not getting any younger, and you know, all of these things come to mind when there is a man involved. And so you begin to reason within yourself that, oh, I'm going to overlook that. Oh, that ain't that bad. I can deal with that. You know, nobody's perfect. You'll begin to reason with yourself. That's not how it's supposed to be, family. When you are being married according to the will of the Most High Yah, then you won't have all of these big question marks going into it. They won't be there, you see. Now, we certainly understand that no one is perfect, and no one is saying look for the perfect spouse, you see. But you do want to look for someone who fears Yah, or should I say a man wants to look for someone who fears Yah, and that daughter of Zion wants to make sure that that man himself fears Yah, because if you don't have both, you're going to have chaos, you see. You don't want to be a woman who has been put in the position where the only thing you're praying about is, Abba, Yah, what have I gotten into? How can I get out of this? You see, you want to be the kind of woman that's going to be strong enough to say no when that type of pressure comes on you. And certainly don't put yourself in a position where sex is the deciding factor. This brother comes around, he starts, just say you're a woman who's not in what they call the truth. And this man comes around with his Bible tucked under his arm, and he starts showing you things and breaking down the word and doing this, that, and the other. And then before you know it, you're like, wow, he's so smart, he's so wise. Satan knew the scripture, you see. Never look at the fact that a person, don't look at this alone, should I say, that a person knows the scripture and say that this is going to be a great husband. Because there is more to it than that. A lot more to it. One of the things that attracted me to my husband was how much he knew the word. You see, when I met my husband, I was very young, of course. I met him when I was 19, about to turn 20. And he would have Bible studies, and a lot of his nephews and a lot of the brothers in the neighborhood would come by. And I would be there. We were recording at the time, and I would hear him teaching, and I was just so amazed at his knowledge in the Word, and I was attracted to that. You see, I was never really attracted to younger men because, at my age, someone that was 20 or someone that was around that vicinity. They were still kind of in la-la land in terms of, the type of lifestyle they led. They weren't trying to think about being a man and having a family and things of that nature. Although when I first met my husband, he didn't want children either, before we got married and we were just talking and courting. He said, I don't think I want children. When I look at how this one turned out and that one turned out, I don't think I want any children. You see, he would refer to just children in the neighborhood, how they were just growing up so wild and just literally out of control, you see. But the Most High, he had different plans, you see. He had totally different plans. When we got to the point of marriage, my husband and I, we still hadn't discussed whether we were going to have children or how many children. But, of course, the Most High's plans are what kicked in, you see. But the knowledge, get back to the knowledge that my husband had when we were courting, that was a very, very good indicator. But let me tell you the main indicator that I saw in my husband. There were two main indicators. One was the relationship he had with his mother. The relationship he had with Mama B was very, very strong. He loved his mother. He took care of her. She was older because my husband was a last-minute child that she and her husband had. He was born when they were, I think my father-in-law was already 50, in his 50s, and my mother-in-law was knocking on 50s, And so he was born late, and a lot of his siblings are old enough to be his parents, you see. And so he had a very close relationship with his mom, very loving relationship with her, and he cared about her. He cared about taking care of her, buying things for her, like if she needed something, he wanted to be there to provide that for her. And another very strong indicator was how much he loved the Most High Yah. It was very obvious how much my husband loved the Most High Yah. And because I was someone who I grew up in the Christian church, but I was in the Christian church when I received the Ruach HaKodesh, you see. And so I loved the Most High, so I knew what it looked like to see someone else who loved the Most High and who weren't just religious, you see. And so when I looked at all those things, his knowledge in the scripture, his love for his mother, and most of all, his love for the Most High Yah, that was the man that I wanted to be with, you see. And so I thank Yah for making that connection in my life, you see. And I also thank the Most High for his age over me. My husband being older certainly gives to the relationship that we have, you see. And so I'm grateful for all of those things. And so, in a nutshell, daughters of Zion, you don't want to just marry someone because they have knowledge in the scripture. You want to look at his relationship with other females in his family. Is that relationship stressed and strained? Is that relationship solid? And most of all, his relationship in love for the Most High Yah. Not his relationship in love for teaching and scripture, you see, because a lot of people are using scripture to actually attract or pull women. You see, they want to use their knowledge. But you should be able to tell. We're women. We know what love feels like. We know what compassion feels like. You should be able to tell if this man has a relationship and a love for the Most High Yah. That's first and foremost, you see, because that is his head, you see. If this man just seems to be religious and your intuition tells you that, go with that. Understand that you are not trying to get into a relationship with a man who is simply religious, but he does not answer to the Most High Yah. He doesn't love the Most High Yah. And he just appears to be very well versed in scripture. You see, you have Jewish people who are very well versed in scripture. You have Hashatan himself who knows the scripture. So that is not the only indicator you want to look at. And certainly, ladies, you know, if this man is, you know, just say before you get married, and although this shouldn't happen, if there are some kisses exchanged, you see, you don't want to say, wow, he's a great kisser and all this, that, and the other. You don't want to allow the burning in your flesh to be the deciding factor, especially if you've been single for a while. If you know what it feels like to be touched by a man already, and you've been single for a while and you're just to the point where you don't want to be single anymore, and you want to have a relationship where someone is wrapping their body around you, don't allow that to be the deciding factor. Because at the end of the day, I told y'all, this is for grown women, okay? This conversation is for the daughters of Zion that are trying to enter into marriage or having thoughts of a relationship or whatever. This is for them, okay? But of course we teach our daughters. I teach my daughters very well what to look for, that don't allow physical attraction to be the only thing that you're looking at. Then you find yourself in trouble, you see. But to the daughters of Zion, don't let your flesh vibrations or this need to be wrapped in someone's arms or have someone's body wrapped around your body. Don't allow sexual desires. You just want to feel a man so bad. You want this man to be on you and touching you, loving you, hugging you, squeezing you, making love to you. Don't allow that to be the only thing that causes you to fall into a situation that you should not be in. You don't want to end up in a marriage that is filled with sex, but void of love, void of compassion, void of strength. You see, anyone can make you feel good. Anyone can have sex with you. Anyone can cause your body to vibrate. But at the end of the day, does this man love you? Does he love the Most High Yah? That's what you want to look for. This is why the scripture says, whom Yah have joined together, let no man put asunder. Whom Yah have joined together. Don't be the one who is just falling into a situation, and then next thing you know, you're fighting and crying, trying to get out of it. We've seen that happen so many times, especially among so-called Hebrew Israelites, where a woman, and I've talked to so many sisters over the years, and the woman is trying to talk herself into it. I talked to one sister, one conversation I remember in particular, where the sister was trying to get advice on being a second wife. Okay, he was already married, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of the scenario, because there are so many that sound so very similar to this. He was already married. His first wife had already had children with him, and she was pregnant with another. And the brother pretty much presented himself to this other sister, first of all, trying to prop up the whole idea of marriage, being a second wife. And he indicated, first of all, he started in on his first wife, talking about what she's not doing, and she's this and she's that. That should have been your first red flag right there. He's tearing down his first wife. Do you want to enter into a situation where he don't have enough respect for this woman to keep that between he and her? You shouldn't listen to that kind of thing. First of all, he's tearing his wife down, and you're sitting there listening to it. The second indicator was the fact that his wife was pregnant, about to drop. So, you know, in the latter stages of a woman's pregnancy, for some, not all, for some, having sex becomes difficult, you see. And so toward the latter months, maybe a couple of months, some may stop, some continue on to the very last day. I'm not going to say which direction me and my husband chose to take, but anyway, that is how it is in some relationships. So the man is saying, you know, is more difficult for me because she is pregnant. And so some of these brothers, and in this particular case, I knew this what it was. He was looking for, I'm going to say, another booty call. That's what it was. Because as she explained everything to me, this brother was explaining to her that you're going to have to take care of yourself pretty much. She said that he didn't have a job, and she was going to have to stay in her own place. And when he comes by, she's going to have to be available for him. So that was a strong indicator right there that this man was looking for another booty call. But he wanted to paint this picture, but you're going to be my wife though, but I'm going to live over here with my first wife, you see. I'm going to live with her. We have children. She's pregnant right now, but when I come over here, you make yourself available to me, you see. And so my question to the sister was this. I said, okay, after hearing everything you had to say, where do you see yourself in 6 months if you decide to pursue this relationship? Do you think you're going to be happy? Do you think this relationship is going to last? Do you think it's going to be solid? Do you get a feeling that this man loves you or is in love with you or cares about your life? I asked her the very hard questions. And I said, 6 months from now, where do you see yourself in that situation? There was a silence that came on the phone. Then I asked her again. And her answer was, I don't think I would like where I would be in this relationship 6 months from now. I said, well, there's your answer right there. If your mind is all ready to project that you're not going to like your position in that relationship in 6 months, why even enter into it? Don't allow yourself to be someone's ride in the bed, someone's side chick. Don't allow yourself to be a place that he comes when he needs some different sex than what his wife has to offer. Don't allow yourself to be someone's alternative way to get their rocks off. You see, I'm sorry, daughters of Zion. I have to say things this way because I know what's going on. I see what's going on. I've talked to a number of sisters who have entered into situations to where they are devastated afterward. And don't allow loneliness and what you consider to be powerful sex to be the deciding factor in your destruction. Because I have seen women ripped into pieces. I have seen some women leave the faith because of men that they have encountered in this so-called Hebrew Israelite walk. Some actually walk away from the Most High Yah because of these toxic relationships. We know and we understand, as a woman, I can sympathize with you in knowing that you don't want to feel lonely. You don't want to be lonely. I understand that. But at the same time, you don't want to be abused either. You don't want to allow the desires of the flesh to trump the desires of the spirit. Because our spirit desires something from the Most High Yah that no man can give you, you see. But when the Most High does give you a mate, it's going to be a spiritual connection. You see, there's going to be a spiritual connection. That's the way it should be. I feel very spiritually connected to my husband. Very spiritually connected. When you and your husband comes together, they're supposed to be, it's not just about having sex. It's supposed to be about that spiritual connection too that is made, you see. And if you don't have that, you will begin to long for that. If you enter into a marriage like this, where your husband is withdrawn from you, he's only close to you when it's time to get his rocks off. You don't want to experience that. That is not the kind of marriage you want to enter into. And so this is why you have to put the brakes on. You have to pause for a minute, okay? Don't allow loneliness to cause you to make such a bad decision that's going to affect you the rest of your life, especially if you bring children into the world. You don't want to bring children into a toxic environment such as that because your flesh was beginning to vibrate. Don't even allow a man into your space if you feel hot in your body. If you feel hot in your pants and you know that this man is certainly not the one, don't even allow him into your private space. I'm sorry, because once he gets into your private space within your home, he's going to try to get into the private space in your body, and you are going to look back with regret if this was not the man that the Most High had for you. You see, there is so much more I can say on this particular subject or this particular topic. But I can't be out here too much longer. It's getting a little chilly in the air, a little nippy, and I can feel the drizzles coming down. So I don't want to be too wet out here. My fingertips are a little cold. But I came out here for a reason. I came out here for a reason. Although I do talk to my older daughters about these things. The younger ones are not quite ready for this. You give it to them. You spoon feed them what they can handle, you see. So daughters of Zion, I love you. And I'm doing this series because I love you. You see, I have heard the tears. I have spoken to many of you. Many of you may remember I shared a conversation that I had. I didn't share the conversation, but I shared the results of the conversation. When I spoke to this woman about what she had been going through with her husband, I'm telling you, as we spoke, I could feel, it's almost as if the Most High allowed me to feel every bit of her pain. You see, the scripture says that the strong must bear the infirmities of the weak, you see. And that particular day, the Most High made sure I felt every bit of her pain. As this woman was crying on the phone, I began to cry with her, you see, because I was feeling her pain. And it was to the point I said, Abba Yah, I wish I can get on a plane and go to where this sister is right now, because I felt what she was going through, and it did not feel good. Any of you who watched, I believe it was The Green Mile, when the man, the black guy, the main character in this, he touched the guy, and the guy was able to feel what he was feeling, you see, and he also made the guy feel what a deer was feeling when he was shot or something like that. But that's what I was feeling that day when I talked to this sister. It's almost as if the Ruach caused me to reach through the phone and make that connection and feel what she was feeling. That's the only way I can explain it, family. And so she was like, Deborah, yeah, you saved my life. Just with talking to me, you have saved my life. You have no idea what I'm going through right now. And I want to say, sister, yes, I do. I'm feeling it right now, you see. And so I want to be here for my sisters in a way that is going to be a blessing to them. And so the first part of that is telling you up front, before you enter into certain relationships, before you enter into them, you have to go into them with the right frame of mind. You have to go into them under the leading and the guidance of the Ruach HaKodesh, not by your flesh, not by those emotions that are causing you to say, look, I need a man, I want a man, I desire a man. Being a woman, I understand that, you see, but you also don't want to put yourself in a situation that could be dangerous for you, that could cause you to end up back at square one in the first place, because the marriage dissolves and the marriage is no longer viable. The marriage has become violent, loveless, Yahless, you see. Again, so much more I can say on this. I can go on. And I thank Yah for this particular season that we're entering into, because it actually gives you more time. You don't do as much work in the garden when this particular season comes in. It starts to get cold, and there's only so many things you can grow. Although I do plan to grow some things in our greenhouse. Some things that are already out here growing, I do plan to cover them so that their life can be extended into the cooler months, you see. But that being said, this particular season allows for me to put more time into what I'm doing right now, because I do love my sisters and I do love my brothers. Over the years, being in this, what people call this truth, so many people misunderstand the daughters of Zion, and especially when we are speaking out on certain issues, you see, they misunderstand us and they begin to call you a Jezebel. You even have other women looking at you from a distance, analyzing you and projecting things onto you that are not true, you see. And that's a spirit that has gone out into the air. The scripture talks about how there are many spirits that have gone out into the air, and a lot of people allow themselves to be infiltrated by these spirits to the point where they are attacking the truth. They are attacking those who really do want to be a blessing to others, those who really do want to help the daughters of Zion. My goal is not to say anything that's going to cause you to enter into error in any way. You see, my goal is to get you to seek first a relationship with the Most High Yah, you see. Because at the end of the day, whether married or not, we have to work out our own soul salvation with fear and trembling. And we also have to seek our own relationship with the Father. Your relationship with the Father should not be something that is totally contingent on your husband's relationship with the Father. If he has a weak relationship with the Father, you don't enter down that path with him. If he's displaying this very weak relationship with the Most High, you keep going. You keep going with your relationship and make sure that it is strong. The Most High will speak to you. He will lead you. He will guide you, you see. Okay, I've said enough for the moment, but I shall return maybe later on today. I have quite a few things I need to get into today. We're about to get our school day started. I did this early while the children are having breakfast, and so I'm going to head on in, tend to my family, and I will be back with you all maybe later on today or maybe tomorrow. But again, daughters of Zion, I love you. I want you to stay encouraged, and please take the words that I say in love. You see, I know that some words have to come out and they may sound a little tough, but this is the path that we have to take at this time, because so many are entering into error because they are not being taught what to do. They are not being led by the Ruach. And that's the one thing I want you to get from me, is that I want you to be led by the Ruach. I don't want you to be led by your flesh or governed by your feelings or emotions, but the Ruach HaKodesh, you see. And with that, I will say shalom.